Hi there and welcome back to The Single Cook. My name is Tiffany and I'm your host. Today I'm going to be making what I'm calling a harvest chicken and couscous. It's not a recipe that I found online anywhere. It's something that I'm purely making up out of my head. I recently harvested a bunch of vegetables from my garden, including radishes, squash, and kale. So I'm going to be using that in my sauce today, and I'll show you how to hide those vegetables from yourself if you choose to do that, or if you'd like to make them stand out and proud, you could definitely do that as well. I love a good couscous. It's kind of like a mix between rice and pasta, and it tends to soak up flavors really well, and I really love it with a sauce. So I'm going to be using boxed Parmesan couscous from my favorite store, Aldi's. So that's kind of a cheat for me because then I don't have to measure out exactly how much. I don't have to figure out exactly how much liquid, all of that. It's already done for me. I just have to do the box. So let's get into our ingredients. So our ingredients today, we are going to be using chicken, and this is just a breast of chicken that I have diced up into reasonable chunks, 1 to 1.5 inch pieces. I'm going to be using bacon fat as my fat for the chicken when I go to cook it. So I'm going to be using my cast iron. I'm going to use bacon fat as well. We have our seasonings. I'm going to be using the mushroom rub that I love. I'm going to be using some Italian seasoning, some onion powder, and then some pepper. I will not be using salt in this recipe because I am using that bacon fat. That is plenty salty, and I will not need to add any more. I'm also going to be using my garlic, the jarred minced garlic and water. I'm going to be using some sliced mushrooms. These I did not grow. I bought these, but there's only about 3 of them here, and they are sliced up. I have about 3 radishes that I have sliced and diced. These I did grow. These are Pink Beauty radishes, and they were very easy to grow. It took about 45 days. So now I'm harvesting those and using them. I have some summer squash that I grew and harvested, and I've got about 1/3 of a squash here. I've also got about 2 giant kale leaves that I have sliced up. I grew both of those items, so the kale as well. We're going to be using some milk. I am lactose intolerant, so I'm using lactose-free milk. Any kind of milk will do. I'm going to be using some Philadelphia cream cheese and some sour cream. I will only be needing about this much. So I don't like to buy big packs of the Philadelphia cream cheese because I never use it in time and it goes bad. Same thing with the sour cream. I use it so rarely that I never need a big container. So I end up with these little packets from various places, and this is where I use them. We're also going to be using some Parmesan cheese. I may not have enough here for what I want, but I also have some of the grated Parmesan topping that I can definitely use as well if that's not enough. I have my boxed Parmesan couscous mix. I'm going to need some butter and some liquid with that, and I'm going to be using that stock that I made and kept in the fridge. I've dissolved a little bit of that into the 1.25 cups of water that the box requires. So that'll add just a little bit more flavor into that couscous as it cooks. So those are our ingredients. Let's get into cooking. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and apologize right here because for some reason the lighting made everything wash out. So it's going to be really hard to see the ingredients, and I do apologize. So the first thing we're doing is we're going to get our medium pot going with our couscous mixture. So we are starting with that vegetable stock. We're going to put that. We're going to add our butter. And we're going to be doing about 1 tablespoon to 1.5 tablespoons of butter. Again, anything light colored, just completely washed out. But about that much butter. And we're going to pop that right in the pot. We're going to get that heated up and get that butter starting to melt. We're also going to be adding the seasoning packet from the box of Parmesan couscous. So that seasoning packet, we're just going to add it straight to that. We're going to break it up and get it mixed in and then let that come to a boil. So give it a little mixy mix. Make sure there are no big chunks. And we're going to let that just boil away. Next, in our pan, we're going to get our heat going. You all know I have my janky stove, so I have to light that with the lighter. We've got our cast iron, and we're going to be using that bacon fat for our oil. We're going to do about 3 teaspoons, so about a tablespoon. And get that melting in there. And you want to spread that all the way around the pan, both to help it melt faster, but also so that everything will be evenly coated. So while that's heating up, we're going to add our diced chicken or chunked chicken. And this is just 1 chicken breast. Next, we're going to add our diced radish. These are those pink beauty radishes that I grew in my garden. We want those to soften up, so we'll put them in there with the chicken so they have the longer time to cook. We're also going to be adding our mushrooms. These are just sliced button mushrooms. There's about 3 of them here. And then I'm going to go ahead and add most of my seasonings. I'm going to add my onion powder, my Italian seasoning, and my mushroom rub. And I'm doing about a half a teaspoon of each one. So just a couple of shakes. And we're going to mix that all around. Make sure it's all evenly coated in that bacon fat. Make sure that the seasonings are all evenly coating everything. And we're going to let that cook. Okay, our water is boiling for our couscous, so we're going to add our couscous to the pot. We're going to give that a good stir. And then we need a lid to cover it, and you're going to see where I forget where I put my lid. Found it. So we're going to cover that, and we're going to cut the heat off and let it just soak up all of that liquid. And we're going to leave that alone and not touch it until the very end of the video. So back to our chicken, giving it a good stir, make sure nothing is burning and that everything is getting even heat. Okay, next up we're going to be adding our garlic. You all know I love my jarlic, my jarred minced garlic. So we're going to do about 2 tablespoons here, 2 bladefuls. Why dirty your spoon when you've got a knife there already? And we're going to give that a good mix. Let that get nice and fragrant. Okay, it's been cooking for a couple of minutes now, so we're going to give it another couple of stirs. We're going to add our summer squash in. And we're going to add our kale. And this will act just like spinach. It'll wilt down really quickly. But if you do want to help hurry it along, you can add some water. We're going to give it a good mix and see how fastly it reduces on its own. And even though it looks like a lot of kale, again, it will wilt down very quickly and to almost nothing. Okay. And I decided to add some water. I added just under half a cup of water to this, just because I wanted everything to cook down quickly. And then that water also gives me a little bit of that, the juices and things from the bottom of the pan for my sauce. Helps loosen it up without scalding the milk when I go to add it. Okay, that's been cooking for a little bit, and it is time to move on. So we're going to start with our sauce. So I'm going to be adding the Philadelphia cream cheese, and this is probably 2 to 2.5 tablespoons that just came in this little packet. And then about the same amount of sour cream. Make sure we get every little bit from those packets. And then we're going to be adding about a cup of milk, or I'm just eyeballing it, so I'm guessing that it was about a cup of milk. Maybe a little less than that. And we're going to give that a good mix, make sure that that cream cheese gets all melted in, and that the sour cream gets all incorporated. It's going to look very liquidy, so we're going to let that cook for a while. And it's been cooking for a little bit. I'm going to start adding my pepper. I'm putting about a half a teaspoon of pepper in there. You could probably add a little bit more, but that's just what I was feeling today. And then I've decided that I'm going to use all of this Parmesan and some of the grated Parmesan topping as well. This was only, it was less than 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. So I'm going to be adding about 1/4 cup total. So even though it looks like I'm dumping a ton in there, it was really only about 1/4 cup of cheese total. Give that a good mix, let that start melting and get incorporated, but we don't want it to burn to the bottom of the pan. So we're going to try and finish our sauce as quickly as possible here. And it started thickening. You can see those kind of black sections through the pan as I move it around. But I'm going to cheat and I'm going to use some cornstarch as well. So cornstarch is a thickener. I'm going to use probably about a teaspoon of it. And then about a teaspoon of water as well. And I'm going to put that in a small bowl at first so that I can mix that water with the cornstarch and get it smooth and mixed in so it's not clumpy. If you put it straight in the pan, you'll end up with weird clumps. I also like to use my finger so I can see that everything and feel that everything is already disintegrated into it. So we're going to add that and then very quickly stir it into the sauce. And as soon as it hits that sauce, it starts thickening up. So you can see just how thick that got almost immediately. When you move it around the pan and you can see the pan underneath, it's about the right thickness. And let's plate up. We're going to start with our Parmesan CousCous, and you can see that that is all there. We're going to fluff that up with our spatula, break it up so it's not in like giant chunks. And we're going to put that in the center of our plate because I'm going to put my sauce and stuff on top of it. Try and make it pretty. And then we're going to spoon our chicken and vegetable mixture right over top of that couscous so that sauce gets down into it and soaks into it. Trying to get an even amount of sauce and vegetables and chicken. Spatula is not great for sauce spooning. Okay. And that is our harvest chicken over Parmesan couscous. Make sure you wipe up any spills. And that has been our video for today. Thank you for hanging out with us. We made our harvest chicken with Parmesan couscous. So we used just a single chicken breast, a couple of mushrooms, a couple of radishes, 1/3 of a summer squash, some kale, and some garlic, and made a wonderful sauce with some cream, well, not cream, milk, sour cream, and some Philadelphia cream cheese. A little bit of spices in there. Well, seasonings, not spices. So Italian seasoning, some of that onion powder, and then some of that mushroom rub that you all know that I absolutely love. We combined all of that, made a wonderful sauce to go over top of our boxed Parmesan couscous. It's hard to talk today. To make a wonderful meal that's both filling and delicious. So it made 2 servings for me. I put the rest of it in a container so that I could have it for lunch tomorrow or dinner tomorrow or even Sunday. And that'll last in the fridge for a couple of days if I need it to. If I don't feel like eating it tomorrow or the next day, that is perfectly fine. And as always, you can make this recipe your own. If you decide that you don't like summer squash, you don't have to put summer squash in it. If you decide that you want to do zucchini, if you want to do onions, if you want to do bell peppers, it'll work for all of that. This was just the vegetables that I had on hand from my garden. So feel free to make it your own as always. And if you want to size it up, you can absolutely size it up. If you want to scale it down, you can absolutely scale it down. I just wanted 2 servings of mine. So that is our video today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. I hope you'll come back to see us again on The Single Cook. My name is Tiffany. Happy cooking.